Hello, one and all. Welcome back, Bengal fans. Maybe you're Bengal fans, or maybe you're just fans of the channel. I'm more inclined to believe you're Bengals fans. But we are back with more Madden 01. We are Super Bowl champs, baby. We won the Super Bowl. We beat the Rams in Super Bowl 36. And we are Super Bowl champions. And now we're going over our postseason stats here, taking a look at things. You might see some numbers that shock you, but remember, we sim most of the season, so that's where a lot of these numbers are from. This is bad, dude. Look at our receiving core. Our leading receiver was Peter Warrick with 847 yards. That's pretty bad. And our second leading receiver was our tight end, and our third was our running back. So you had to go all the way down before you get another. Or no, excuse me. I have it sorted by reception, so that's why it's deceptive. So I got confused. But looking over our O-line here, Willie Anderson with an amazing season here. Brian DeMarco, not like a terrible season, I guess. 15 sacks is a lot, dude. That's a lot to give up. Tony Mayberry, they're leading the charge, buying away. 35 pancakes to only 3 sacks. That is amazing. Takeo Spikes led the team in tackles, which is great. You know, it's good because I plan on keeping him around. It's not real life. He's not going to leave us. We're going to try and keep him around as much as we can. Dwayne Ilko, our rookie, led the team in sacks. You'll love to see it. I'll take my praise as GM now. Thank you. That first-round pick is paying off, baby. But, yeah, looking around, so it feels good to finally get through some of these numbers here as we've just been kind of watching things unfold. John Green, who was actually really good for us in the games we watched, has actually had a pretty rough season. Yeah, so looking over our stat rankings, in the NFL, this actually kind of matters, unlike in the NCAA games I do, where, you know, it's just kind of, whatever. But in this game, it kind of matters, so... Looking over here at some of our strong things, we had the best run defense in the NFL, which is probably a big contributor to why we got as far as we did. Same with total yards. We allowed the fewest red zone attempts in the entire league as well, so this is good. We were a very efficient team on third down, and even fourth down, we weren't that bad. But that might be where we kind of really strengthened ourselves because we really didn't have a great season, dude. Like, we were a game over 500, but we somehow turned that into a Super Bowl run just like the Giants did. So I'm feeling pretty high on that, but we still need a lot to go right as it appears with how the team is constructed currently to really kind of, I guess, put us in a position where we can really rely, on that stuff. Because we're really just kind of making the most of a pretty bad roster still, and it paid out. It worked out this year, but I don't know if it will moving forward unless we drastically kind of upgrade in some positions here. So, but we're going to get into that all here. We're looking now at our Pro Bowlers. I was just flipping through to see if we had any Bengals selected, and I don't think we did, or we might have had like one or two. I honestly can't remember, but. Here are your Pro Bowlers in case you are interested. If you're a fan of another team and you want to see if you guys sent some dudes to the Pro Bowl, here you go. Some classic names here that you probably all remember, or maybe you don't remember. I don't know. I don't have a ton of knowledge with this era of the NFL, but a lot of these big names, of course, I remember, of course, like Peyton Manning, obviously. Now we're going to look over our awards. Kurt Warner's the MVP of the NFL. Makes sense here. Why not Achilles Smith, dude? Really? Come on, dude. And Chris Waller comes in 4th in Rookie of the Year or Offensive Rookie voting. So we at least got him on there, I guess. I think we should be in consideration for a few more awards with what we were able to accomplish with this roster, but clearly the NFL does not seem to think so. We're not getting anywhere near the looks that I think we should. So, yeah, they're kind of overlooking us pretty hard, and it looks like a lot of the positional ones go to the award winners, obviously. So, Defensive Player of the Year is obviously the best linebacker, you know what I mean, or best quarterback is the MVP, so on and so forth. So, now we're moving to the All-Madden team, and this is where I would actually be kind of upset if we really didn't have, like, a single selection, like, if we didn't get just one person on the All-Madden team. There's got to be at least one spot for a Bengals somewhere as we're flipping, and we're flipping, and we're flipping, and we're flipping. It's a lot of the same teams. There's a couple guys sprinkled in from teams that weren't that good this year, but for the most part, it's a lot of the same teams that went to the postseason, except for us. We're the outlier. We are the outlier. Because because, yeah, I guess we were just really a lot worse than I thought we were. Even looking at the stat rankings, I didn't think our team was, like, super bad. We were probably closer to 20 than we were to 10, as far as the rankings, go. But still, I didn't think we were, like, the worst team. But we're Super Bowl champs, so eat it. But now we can finally move ahead into the off season and begin to, I guess, try and strengthen this roster here, because we still do have a few holes, but with progression, a lot of this stuff should correct itself. But here are your retired players here. Just no Bengals, I don't think, to speak of, or there might be one or two, but just here are the people, in case you recognize some names. Randall Cunningham hanging up the cleats here. So is Jim Harbaugh. He's hanging up the cleats. He's probably going to start coaching, maybe. Who knows? Plant that seed inside his head. He might want to start coaching. Who knows? But here we are at our re-sign phase. Tony Mayberry, our center, is holding out. So I believe Mayberry was a free agent signing for us originally, and he had an amazing season, the best season on our O-line, of all of our O-line. And so he's holding out because he wants more money, and we are absolutely going to give it to him, because that would be absolutely ridiculous to not give him that money. You know what I mean? He is one of the best parts of our offense right now, and we desperately need him. So here are some of our other free agents here. I think our backup fullback is eligible. Craig Yeast, who's like the third or fourth option at receiver. Cliff Gross, our starting fullback, he is looking for some money here. His contract is expired, and we're obviously going to give it to him because we got to have a fullback. So Scott Reberg is another guy we're kind of looking at. He didn't start this year for us. He's a 77, which isn't bad, but he didn't start for us, so not much to look at. Marco Battaglia was our backup tight end, and said he had one reception. I could have sworn he did more than that, but apparently he didn't. So he's inexpensive. He's an 80 overall, but we didn't use him really at all. We're pretty bad in the secondary position, so Tom Carter needing some money is definitely where we're going to throw some money, because we have the money to throw. We have almost $20 million in cap space. We have, a few million to throw at some role-playing guys and some depth guys. Steve Foley is another linebacker that we're going to bring on here, try and bolster up the defense. Anyone who's over an 80 overall, at least close to that, is going to be considered to be brought back here, as we're really going to try and run it back, to say, for the most part. We're gonna run it back a little bit and see just how far we can get, because if we can expound on the core of players that we already have, then we can easily win more than 10 games and actually be a serious threat to win a Super Bowl. But we're gonna need to bolster quite a bit. So here you'll see me considering some money with some guys. I had to flip back and forth between the roster and see who was actually on the roster and where we could actually improve through the draft or through free agency. But Brian DeMarco is a guy that we're absolutely going to give 1.5 to, because he's way too good for us to not give him that money. Same thing with Javon Langford. He's a decent enough player here, and he's not looking for a lot of money. A lot of these guys are cheap. That's kind of the problem with Madden 01, is that the contracts don't really grow with the talent level. So a lot of these guys will progress pretty easily into like the mid to high 80s, but they're still only asking for like $1 to $2 million when they could probably get closer to like 4 or 5. So, but that's one of the issues with this game that we will see as this progresses onward. But here are the guys that we're kind of looking away from here, and all the money that they're looking at. So we're going to look to free agency now. There's not a whole lot we're going to do in free agency. There's not a ton of free agents that could actually drastically improve our team. And while I was recording this, I had a whole list of our roster, like our overalls and stuff, like on a piece of paper in front of me, and I knew what I wanted to do in the draft. So throwing a bunch of money at some older vets who weren't as good or weren't that much better than guys we already had wasn't something I was really looking to do. I was really not looking to make any sort of, huge investments on players like that. So the free agency, I'm really just kind of using it this season to kind of pad out our depth here. So we lost, as you saw, one of our backup QBs, and a lot of the backup QBs are pretty expensive. They're looking for a lot of money. So, and I was trying to find like a really inexpensive one, but they all kind of fetch a lot of money for some reason. So, and here I see Tiki Barber sitting in free agency, and he's very inexpensive, and he's not all that great. He's a very young Tiki Barber, so I'm going to throw some money at him, because why not? And then Joel Makovica of our Cardinals series fame is also sitting here in free agency, so I thought I'll bring here a familiar face and throw some money at him as well. But yeah, I mean, that's like the two big gets here, I guess, free agency, or at least where I'm going to throw the money anyway. And now we're looking over some of other positions here, but we're just going to kind of move here and just see if we can lock in our 2 targets. Yeah, we're really not going to be all that aggressive in free agency over the course. And there we sign Tiki Barber. We get him. We lock him down. We get Joel Makovica. So that's going to be free agency, and now we're going to move right on ahead to our draft class. And here you see we drafted a left end with our first pick, and then we got a tight end with our second pick, 89 and 86. This is probably a much, much better draft class than last season here. But yeah, looking over, we don't need a ton of these guys, which is kind of crazy to say that we don't need our draft class because we just went 9 and 7. But I promise you, bro, if you look at the progression of a lot of these guys' overalls, which I don't think I really highlighted when I went through these, but trust me, dude, a lot of these guys are increasing and improving quite a bit. So a lot of the free agency and draft is really just kind of for depth purposes. There's really not much more that we need to kind of focus on when it comes to building the roster. So especially with running back, we have Corey Dillon, and now I have Tiki Barber, so I really don't need a guy like Steve Weaver. But at 82, being our 3rd round pick, it's kind of stupid to just not give him the money because we have the cap room. So. But yeah, here is a look overall at the draft class, who we're bringing on, who we're not bringing on, and that is going to do it for the draft. So it's one of the last few things we have to do in our offseason now, and here's a look at the depth chart now. So Corey Dillon gets up to 94, Achilles Smith is up to 89, as you saw, and that running back we drafted is now our 2nd running back on the depth chart. Tiki Barber is 4th, so I'm going to move some stuff around just because I want him, playing for us. But yeah, here is how the offense is stacking up here now. Our O-line's looking really solid these days. We have some solid pressure on the edges here, but our D tackles are also getting a lot better. Ilko's already up to an 88 overall. The linebacking core is pretty decent too. So yeah, I mean, this is what I was talking about, dude. The progression, we're really just kind of getting up there. And as you can see, we have Simmons just kind of sitting here. I couldn't figure out how to slot him into the defense to where he'd be playing every day, but he's one of our better linebackers. He's kind of blocked at the middle linebacker position because of Takeo spikes. So we're going to need to do something about that as we move forward into our new season. So one of the last things we'll do here is we will look over our schedule here. So we're going to start with the Panthers and go on the road to the Jags, play the Titans, Broncos, and Steelers before getting our bye week in week 6. And then we come out and play more division games against the Ravens and Titans before playing the 49ers and then playing the Browns, Steelers, Bills, and Ravens. That's a road trip with the Bills, Ravens, Falcons, Browns, and Rams. That's a brutal road trip, but we do get a Super Bowl rematch here in week 16, and then we close things off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So please come back in the next episode here. We're going to get right into year 3 as the defending Super Bowl champions and see if we can reach a bit newer of a height here. The expectations for me are a little bit higher. I want a better season here, and I want to be a little bit more of a force in the NFL. So I hope to see you guys in the next episode.